Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell them. I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. Hot or cold, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with another uh, episode of the Success Chronicles. And today we are here with the Landis couple, Scott and Tawnya, an amazing couple that has been blessed to achieve some pretty neat things in their lives and careers. And they're doing lots to pay it forward and give it back. And so I'm so thankful to have them on this relationship chronicle today to share some tips on relationships. So first off, thank you guys so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
Yes, yes. Well, if you don't mind, can you tell me individually where each of you are from and how it was for you growing up?
Good.
So I am from Oregon. I grew up just outside of Portland, so Pacific Northwest. And I grew up, with my parents are, my mom raised me for the first couple of years and then married the father that I have now. And he adopted me. And then I have a younger brother and I was never the girl that dreamed of planning my wedding or getting married when I got older. I was all about I'm going to go to college. I'm going to do business. I'm going to, move to probably LA or New York, I'm getting out of Oregon. And and then of course I got married at 20 and I still went to college and I've still lived all over. It's just funny how you plan your life in your head.
we think we have the plan all the time, but the big man has the plan, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Scott?
Well, I was born in Portland, Oregon, and never got much farther than that. So when I grew up, it was just me and my parents. I was only child and had a great relationship with my parents growing up. I considered them best friends, and especially the older I got. And I ended up staying home until I moved into my first house. And I think I was 23, I think, when I moved out.
Yeah.
So they made it nice and comfortable for me to live there, and I didn't get out. All my friends were out right at 18, and I was like, "Where are you guys going?" I had a great upbringing with my parents, and we had a very stable home. It was a Christian environment. Grew up going to church. Didn't really know anything else. We didn't travel the world, so I didn't really have plans of traveling the world. I just knew my local area, kept it pretty simple.
Uh-huh.
And
then I met this firecracker, and
I did move out young. I went to Europe. So I was across I'm like, all right, bye.
Yeah.
We were talking about getting married. She was like, "Oh, I want to travel the world." I'm like, I've never been more than 100 miles from my home. That was a little uncomfortable thought for me. So
That's awesome.
Overall, I had a great foundation growing up.
That's good stuff. That you said that reminds me. I know that life also well as faith-based. My mother and grandmother, they were educators and ministers of music in the churches that we were in. And so that life I know well. But it's a great foundation to have.
My parents were lay pastors at the church that we were at. They led Bible studies, and they started that in my high school years. And and my dad's mom, my grandma, lived with us, so we had that definite family thing going on.
That's good stuff right there. Well, tell me about how you guys met.
Yeah. High school. So we met in high school. I was a freshman. He was a senior.
Yeah. So she was 14 years old.
I was young.
And I was 17. So that's a little controversy right there. I was a senior, but there was this, from the main high school building to this modular building, there was freshman class and a senior class. So there was this walk between the main building and this modular building. That's sort of where we met, and I actually knew one of her friends, so I had it in, but I saw her from afar, and I was intentional.
There you go.
Yeah, so we met young, and we, you know, I'm not going to get into my whole family story, but we grew up quite opposite. And we're very opposite personality wise. If you put us on any like personality test or anything, we score opposite. Like we could not be more opposite. Yeah. But yeah, we were like, you know, we started dating young and we got married after 6 years. I was I was in college when we got married, and he had already graduated.
Just graduated.
So yeah, we started young.
I think it's beauty in that, the differences though.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys have been blessed and fortunate to experience that in your life, as far as it makes it an exciting ride because the person that you're with is so different than you. You know, and you learn about each other, and then also, you know, you go from this to, but then you go to having that balance as well. You know, and you learn. I think that's what makes it so intriguing. The opportunity to learn and grow, continue to grow.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't actually really appreciate it early in our relationship so much as we do now. Like what you're saying now really resonates, but for the first like 5 to 7 years of our relationship, we were just like, it was so frustrating. Like even just like, I mean, I know it's a classic thing, but where are we going to go out to eat was turned into argument. You know? But just never being able to agree on anything was so difficult. And it was actually once we got into business together where we realized, okay, having totally opposite gifts and strengths really is helpful in business. So that's when we started appreciating it. So that was good.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So how long have you guys been together?
We've been married 20 years. And with the dating before that, about 26, 27 total.
Yeah, long time.
That's good stuff. So here's the juicy part right here. So what are 3 important things that you guys feel it takes to have a successful relationship?
Well, we went through a period. We're actually trained in several different. We're trained marriage coaches, so we're trained in several different curriculums. And it wasn't until it's funny because this answer would have been totally different about 5 years ago. But we went through a time period where we were really struggling, and we had all the tools. Every tool, like everything they offer out there, we were trained in it, and we had helped hundreds of couples with them. But we got to a point where we're like, these tools are not working, and what's wrong? And we were like, we love each other, we want to stay together, we have 3 children together. What are we going to do? And that's really where we developed the curriculum that we use with couples now. And the first thing we realize is that you have to have unconditional acceptance for your spouse. Like, if you don't accept them, then how are you supposed to move forward in your relationship? So the first one is really unconditional acceptance, because like we are so different that we could sit here and be like, well, you don't think like I do, or you don't do this like I do, so I'm not going to accept you. But the root of every person these days, even just as individuals, marriage, like individuals, everybody, just at the heart, like unconditional acceptance. You need to accept people.
When we were going through that rough patch several years ago, we had this really heart to heart, and we landed on this like I just want to feel accepted. Like, I don't feel accepted. And she said the same thing. We're like, really, you don't feel accepted? Like, I felt like I was accepting her, and she felt like she was accepting me, but both of us didn't feel accepted.
Yeah.
And so we just were like, oh my gosh, there's something to that. And I kind of describe unconditional acceptance as this, it's like walking on water, right? It's not actually supposed to be possible, but it's an ideal. It's like this North Star that you strive for. So, you know, there's levels of where you're at now to getting to unconditional acceptance, and just like being aware of that. And am I accepting her in all of that, you know, all of the good, the bad, and just taking a place, you know, starting from a foundation of, I accept you. You are okay with me. Like, even all the stuff that we both know is a flaw, you know, all this stuff that we both know is challenging. It's different, but it's not wrong.
Okay, so let me say this. It took everything within me to not give you some sound effects on that one, Scott. Like, so, man, I was holding them. I was boom, man. Let's go. No, but I think it's so true. When you can get to that place, and how you explain that, of like, you know, really none of us are perfect. You know, like, we're all gonna make mistakes repeatedly. You know, some of us more than others. You know? But you know, it's the fact of, hey, regardless of, you know, your flaws or your mistakes, I got you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Regardless.
Exactly.
And what are some other things you think it takes?
Well, one thing that we discovered, again, when we were going through our hard time, I mean, we had all the communication tools, all the conflict resolution, but one thing we never heard of was, you know, there's needs. Every human has built-in needs, right? And so we discovered a needs model that really made it easy to kind of, it's like, I call it the secret decoder ring. Like, whatever she's saying, what is the real need? It's like the classic thing that, you know, husbands are taught, you know, when your wife comes out of the closet with a pair of jeans on and says, do these make me look fat? You do not answer that question, right? You don't answer that question. There's no right answer to that question. But what's the true need? What is she needing? So it's the decoding. What does she need to hear? She needs to feel safe. She needs to feel secure. When she's asking that question, that's the need. So it's really getting really an expertise on understanding what are the human needs, and then being able to interpret that in your partner, but also being able to, like, assess yourself, being aware of yourself, owning that, you know, it's nobody's job to meet your needs except for you. So you got to know what those needs are. And you, in a marriage, what's beautiful about a marriage is you have somebody that's kind of, you know, on board to help you meet those needs, which is awesome. And there's reciprocity there. And, but you got to be able to communicate and assess and say, okay, I'm feeling this, but I think I need this, you know, and not with expectation, but just, you know, letting your partner know, because we want to meet each other's needs. But if we don't actively communicate that, it's kind of hard for our partner to meet that need, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people think like, oh, you should just know me. We've been together for so long. You just need to know what I need, and you need to meet that. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. And so really identifying what your own needs are, making sure that you're, you know, aware, self-aware, but then also, yeah, communicate with your partner in a way that is loving, instead of like, well, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, and, you know, blah. And because nobody wins in that situation.
I've never heard of
that.
That's awesome, man. I totally agree too. The needs, the communication is so important. You know, effective communication, and being able to have a partner that there's a no judgment zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, within your communication, like, hey, Hey, it's so you feel more comfortable to say, hey, I need this,
Mm-hmm.
but if there's judgment, well, I don't know, you know, but being in that space of, hey, like none of that other stuff really matters. Like, what can I do to help you? Like, I'm here for you. And
Yeah.
when you can get to that place, I think it's amazing.
Yeah, that's such a good point as far as like, if you don't feel safe to communicate
Yeah.
because of judgment, that goes back to the unconditional acceptance. Like if you have
Hmm.
that like foundation, now it's safe. And I might even be ashamed to admit I need this need, but I feel safe with you to let that out. That's huge.
Big, big, big. When you say it twice, that means it's really like, yeah, that's big, big.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, and then really another one that that we teach in our curriculum and that we practice is being vulnerable with each other.
Mm.
And you do have to have a safe space for that, but just being vulnerable and vulnerably communicating. So like, sometimes you don't know what your needs are. You just know you're feeling a certain way, and being able to communicate that with your partner.
No doubt. I think it goes back to the whole safe deal
Yeah.
too. Like when you know that your partner is there for you. It's okay to just be open and honest and vulnerable, because you're not gonna hear it again later down the road, or just something like that. Again, going back to the, hey, we all make mistakes, and let's just learn and grow together.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. On the talked about the communication. I wanted to share this with you, and I'm not really trying to plug my book, but I wanted to show it to you. I'm about to drop my second book, and it's Effective Conversation to Ignite Relationships. And yeah, thank you. And it's co-authored with Dr. Oliver T. Reed, and we are both kind of in the space of trying to do great things to help others. But I did some research in the part that I did, and on couples, on things that help aid with communication. And there's one couple, and I want to share this with you because it's really good. I never had heard of it, and my wife and I, we've kind of, we use it now, and like it's made, makes a lot of difference. So the couple, what they do is they have like a rating scale, like a 1 to 10 rating scale. So if there are things that are like, say, that bother you or whatever, like what is it for you? What is it for you? So now that helps us with the awareness, right? But then it also, so like if there's something that bothers you, Scott, that's like a 8, and for her it's like a 2, well, that lets well, it's not as big to her, but then lets her know, man, that's huge to him. So then now you find that common ground to work together to where, okay, well, I need to help him with this, and then now you see that, oh, well, yeah, she's willing to help me with this. And so it really helps. And so I thought, like, it blew me away when I got it. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And like she said, like it was something like crumbs on the table, was the analogy, like for her, like, man, it was like a 9, for the husband, it's like, oh, crumbs on the table, whatever.
What crumbs?
Okay, then he started to, take ownership and say, well, hey, I got it. Like I'll make sure that it's not there and we're good. And so it helped them get to a better place. And so I wanted to make sure I share that with you guys.
I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of a few things that we do have 8 and 2 contrast going on.
Yeah.
I think that's helpful to scale it that way.
Yeah. And it helps with the open communication, because now, this is our system of how we get through things, as opposed to, saying, hey, well, that's this, and it doesn't come across as, hey, well, you did this, or, no, it's just like, this is how it makes me feel about it. So let's work together. Let's hit some advice for couples. If you had to give some advice for couples to help them be successful, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing is attitude. Like whenever we're working with anyone, any couples, it's really your attitude and your mindset, because if your attitude is poor, or your mindset's like, well, that person is, is upsetting me, and like I have one foot in and one foot out, then that's what you're going to get. Like, you're not going to get good results. I mean, the way that your attitude is going to determine the filter and the perception that you see everything through in life, not just in marriage, but business, all your relationships, your work. And so we really start with attitude, because a lot of times, people come in blaming, and that's just honestly a distraction. You're not owning your own self, your own actions. And we, sometimes we'll work on attitude with couples for quite a while, because you're like, literally, attitude and mindset is one of the most important things, because it is how you view everything.
Yeah.
In our curriculum, attitude is the first concept that we teach. And, there's, I didn't make this up. I can't remember where I got it, but basically we talk to people about, your BS that you're believing, and that stands for belief system, right? So it's true that there's more than one way to interpret BS, but it's all the same thing, right? So what is the BS that you're believing? What it's in your mind, right? It's your perceptions, your assumptions, your expectations. All that is your BS. I was just talking to a husband the other day, and he's assuming all of these negative things about his wife. When he was making steak on the barbecue, and there was just, he fed the whole family, but there was this little bit left. And he's like, wow, at least I got a few scraps. Like, he served everyone else first, and he's like, I got a few scraps. And then she walks by and says, oh, can I have that? And he made the assumption that she didn't care about him at all. And, obviously she probably just didn't realize that he didn't have any yet, right?
Yeah.
But his BS was that she didn't care about him. And I said, well, that's all in your own head. So why don't you change your BS to a positive? Like, for him, he was so convinced that it was a negative, she had a negative thought process. And I said, okay, if that's BS and you think it's BS that she has a positive, we'll just believe different BS, So the belief system that you're bringing to the interchange, the relationship, is just like so key. Like Tawnya was saying, that's all about your attitude and what you're owning, and just knowing what's in your own thoughts, because it's all there. It's like in there. It's between your ears.
That's it. And once you fix that, you'll be okay.
Exactly. And then, we always tell couples, we're like, you're on the same team. Like, you're not on a different team. I mean, if you get out there and you say you're on the same team, and then what happens if the team's out there and they're taking the ball from each other? It's a disaster. And that's, it's the same thing in marriage. Like, you're on the same team, and your plays aren't working. So we need to get you some new plays, because what you're doing, isn't getting you the results. And I think a lot of times that's like a light bulb moment for people. I'm like, because everybody's into sports, most of them. And when I'm
like, hey, I know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, you bring up that analogy, and it's, if the team isn't cohesive and they're like fighting against each other, and they're like, no, that's my spot, that's my ball, and their attitudes are terrible, it's just a disaster. There's, and if you realize you're on the same team, the play you're running is not working, let's, change the play to get the results we want, then, things start working for you.
That's awesome, man. Well, I want to tell you guys, again, thank you. And then I want to say one other thing, and then I want to give you opportunity to tell the audience where they can go follow you and check you out as well. But as we were doing the interview, and each of you getting the opportunity to speak about, what it is that you're doing and your points, I kind of observe the behavior of the other, right? And so, Scott is talking and he's giving his juiciness, and like I watched Tawnya, and she's just like looking at you, right? Like, Like, yeah, that's good stuff, right? So then, like Tanya's talking, right? And I'm looking at giving her juiciness, and I'm looking at Scott, and Scott's like, yeah, that's good stuff, And so I think it's awesome and that's why I do the relationship series, because I think it's awesome for people to see that people can come from different worlds and have different experiences and come together and make magic and make it great. But not only are you guys doing that within your relationship, but you're helping so many people by coaching them to do those things as well. And so I just want to commend you guys for that, because I think, I know like those things don't just happen, right? Like, and so it takes work, it takes experiences, it takes doing all of the things that you guys discussed within this. It takes that to get to this point and to be able to make a positive difference. And I just want to say thank you, because I think it's really neat.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just want to double down on something you said, because I think we're really passionate about seeing healthy relationships in the culture, right? And what you said is, and I'll paraphrase, but you got to work on your marriage. Like, people change the oil on their car religiously, but then if they think about working on their marriage, they're like, well, they get weird about it, right? It's like, I can't do that. Pride gets in the way. Like, what if it was different? What if everybody just was like, dude, we're so excited to work on our marriage. It's been, oh my gosh, it's been 6 months since we did a workshop. We got to go, that would be a different world.
Yeah. Instead of people being like ashamed, like, oh yeah, I've actually, been seeing a marriage therapist, or we're having to go to a marriage retreat or a workshop, and they feel like ashamed. And it's like, you don't feel that with anything else in your life. You put all this intention into the training you get for your job, the schooling you've gotten for your degrees, what you do, the continuing education, what you do for your children. I mean, for goodness sakes, people put more intention planning a vacation than they do to their marriage. And there is something very wrong with that. Very wrong. Because that vacation, yeah, it's going to be a distraction. Like, we love traveling. Trust me. I'm not knocking vacations here. We love to travel. But you do that, you put all that intention, all that money into it. But then when it comes to your marriage, you're like, you just kind of let it sit. But in life, things don't stay the same. They decline or they go up. So if you think that it's a constant, you always hear that example, or you hear that story of somebody saying, I had no idea that we had problems until he came to me or she came to me, or I can't believe that they had an affair or they were talking to someone else. Because stuff doesn't stay like this. You don't put any energy into it, it's going to decline. Or if you put energy into it, it's going to start inclining, increasing. It just, it's the slight edge principle. So you can't leave it to chance. This is your marriage. And most people, if you've got kids, you owe it to your family, you owe it to your spouse, you owe it to your kids to put some intention into your relationship. So we're just a little passionate about it.
got on our soapbox there. Sorry.
Hey, give me a second. I'm still kind of trying to write that down. Okay.
That's good stuff right there.
It is, and it's so true. I think wherever your energy goes, your focus flows, and wherever your focus flows, your energy goes. I think it's the same thing, and you get out of it what you put into it. All of those analogies are things, but again, great stuff. And I want to tell you guys again, thank you so much. But I want to give you opportunity to talk about where they can go follow you and check you out and show you some love.
Yeah, so we're both all over social media. Scott Landis, Tawnya Landis. My name is TAWNYA. And then Landis is LANDIS. We own, we're both entrepreneurs. We've been entrepreneurs since 2001. And we started Marriage Architects, which is our firm that we coach couples. And we also coach individuals through for relationships because we felt called. And, we had these successful businesses, like we're living life. And then we just felt like we saw what happened in our own marriage. And we turned that into, what we have now. You know, you always take your adversity and your pain to help others. And so Marriage Architects is you can find us. We're all over. We have a website.
It's a hard word to spell, but it's out there.
Yeah.
Google it.
Google it. And then as a gift to all your listeners, we would like to offer, so no excuses. You don't have the money excuse, guys. We would like to offer a free download. It's a curriculum. It's a 7-day curriculum, and it's yourpeacefulmarriage.com. So you can go there and download it for free, and it gives you a whole week of things you can do. We've had individuals do it and see a change in their marriage, you know, because they're like, well, my spouse won't do it. Well, so what? Do it too. You know, like you can do it.
Yeah.
And then couples that do it together. And so they can download that for free. And again, it's www.yourpeacefulmarriage.com. And we're offering that for free to all the people that, you know, listen to your show as a way to do an oil change on their marriage.
I love that analogy. Well, again, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be transparent and open up and share your story and give amazing tips that will definitely make relationships better. And I wish you guys continued success in your marriage and your relationship, continued success in your entrepreneurial ventures and everything that you have going on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Like Chick-fil-A. Well, again, thanks. And thank you guys for checking out this episode. We'll see you next time. God bless. Go get it.